Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome everyone to Too Good to Be True. This is a first for Too Good to Be True. We are going to conduct an interview in part 1, and then later in the second show, part 2, answer questions by narrating the psychic insight. There is a disclaimer that we are not professional interviewers. Our usual disclaimers will be included in part 2.
Okay, this is kind of a family affair. I'd like to welcome Justina's cousin Hermione and her partner Shane Affleck, and I guess I'm Marnie's uncle as well, so it's a real family affair. And we're going to talk about Shane's experiences as a medium, and also a little bit about Marnie's spiritual journey. Their lives seem very connected, at least their spiritual lives seem to be very connected. So I guess with no further ado, if you could introduce yourselves, starting with Shane.
Hello there. So my name's Shane. I'm a psychic medium. I've worked with spirit for the last 5 or 6 years. I've worked with them since a younger age, but I've been more under control with it for the last few years.
And I'm Marnie, and I've very recently, probably in the last year or so, just got into it, and I'm learning all the time.
Okay, let's get some definitions. We love definitions on this show. So a psychic is somebody who can see things that normal people can't see, or normally gifted people can't see, or those that deny their gifts. Whereas a medium can actually contact spirits or entities that are beyond our world. So maybe we can say that mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So, Shane, could you tell us a little bit about your medium work?
So as I say, I'm a psychic medium, so I work with anything from thoughts, feelings, colours, energies, and then I work on platform giving messages from spirit to their loved ones. I work in energy. I deal with energy clearing, home clearing. I deal with demonic energies. I deal with healing. I'm a Reiki Master. I teach mediumship. I teach Reiki. So I kind of go along with whatever spirit want me to do, really. I don't really have any choice in how I work. They want me to work, so I'm very willing to, really, I suppose.
Well, when you say you work on platform, do you mean on stage or in a group, or what does that actually mean?
So on platform is on stage, or in front of in front of a group of people where I have. I've got one coming up again in a couple of weeks' time. People will come to the group, sit as an audience, and I will pull through spirit who want to connect with them and give them the messages, whatever it is that spirit have to say to them.
And you've got a day job. You're not. This isn't your means of support. You've got a career outside of your mediumship. That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a catering manager in a care home, and I've been cooking for the last 20 years, near enough. And yeah, this is kind of the second part of my life, I suppose. It's obviously it's not a job. It's something I do, and yeah, brilliant.
Well, I think this is a good time, Shane, if you want to mention your Facebook page and how people can actually get a hold of you.
Okay. So, if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Shane Affleck Psychic Medium. You can find me on there. You can message me. There's a kind of a brief rundown of what gifts I have or I work with and what I can do and whatever. Yeah, I can work remotely, so you don't necessarily have to be here in the UK. We can do it globally. It's not an issue. There's so many means of doing it these days, which was a big shock to me at the same time. So as I've kind of learnt throughout time as working with spirit.
So let's start with the platform discussion. Your book for Village Hall or wherever,
yeah.
And there's a group of people. How do you prepare for that? I mean, do you put up protection? Do you meditate?
Yeah. So I always protect myself. Now I'm not great at meditation. I tend to fall asleep if I sit there very quietly. What I've done, I kind of adapted myself. And that's, the way my mediumship works is all through intent. So I kind of set the intent over the time that if I'm driving to work or driving somewhere, and I get lost in meditation, then that's when I kind of close my mind down and allow things to come to me. So kind of spirit kind of know that that's how I work. So, for example, my last platform a few weeks ago, there was a physical child that I saw that my attention got drawn to, and this child was clearly a sufferer of cancer. And my mind, just for some reason, I kind of saw him and thought, okay, I'll acknowledge that. And then later on that evening, during the platform, the demonstration, a child with cancer came to me. And by the ways of communication he gave me, he made me remember the child that I saw in the physical world earlier on in the day. So I kind of, every way is different. And what I will do when I tend to like to set up the hall or wherever I am, I tend to set it up myself, which gives me time to focus. And I just kind of close my mind, and I have to walk around. The one weird thing I have to do, I have to walk to all four corners of the room, touch the corner and keep going. I have to walk in and out of every single chair. I don't actually know why, but I know that if I do that, I'm creating a stronger link. And then I just drink gallons and gallons of water. Marnie laughs. She thinks it's quite comical, the amount of water I drink. I'll probably go through 10 bottles in about an hour and a half. It's unreal.
So how are you accepted locally? I would imagine that it's only been recent there's been greater acceptance of psychics and mediums generally, and I hear in the UK there's a lot of skepticism.
Yeah, you always face that. Now, most my friends all laugh when they see me and they see it and they say, "Oh, I don't believe that you do that," because in my normal life I'm a bit of a joker, a bit of a plonker, really. I like to have a laugh and a joke and a bit of a wind-up merchant. But the other side of it, you do face a lot of ridicule, unfortunately, and that tends to be from closed-minded people that don't really know anything about spiritualism. And I kind of feel that there's an element of fear there, because it's kind of fear of the unknown. Now, for me, I don't give those people the light of the day. I don't amuse them. I don't let them get away with it. I don't acknowledge. I just whatever, really. I feel sorry for them, really, because they're judging me on something they know nothing about. But it's becoming a greater acceptance, locally, certainly. kind of once a word, I don't advertise massively. I do have a Facebook page. I don't massively advertise it. I kind of let word of mouth kind of take over. And I've just been so busy because of that. And I kind of feel, for me, I don't need to show off to. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I'm very blessed to have this lovely gift, and yeah, that's that really.
Let's move on to Marnie, if you wouldn't mind sharing kind of a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you got involved with this and how you kind of work along with Shane.
I met Shane when I asked him to come and do a reading for me. I was at a time in my life where I needed a bit of guidance, and I'd had hints of things like sort of during my life, but nothing that I really understood. And Shane spoke to me and said that he could see that I could potentially do what he did, and he offered to give me lessons. So for nearly a year we had weekly lessons and worked a lot on meditation. We looked a lot on home clearing because that was one of the first things he did for me. And we've dealt with friends and family. As I get more confident, it was nice to have friends and family, people I was comfortable with, being kind of guinea pigs for us. So we did some readings where they were happy to have both of us there, just for me to learn, and we would do readings together, and that really helped.
What would you say to people who don't really believe in psychics and mediums, Marnie?
I'm very different to Shane. Shane's very relaxed. He's very chilled about it. He like he says, he's got nothing to prove. I'm the opposite. I get quite defensive. I get quite cross about it. I want to let people know about it, and I want to almost convert the non-believers, which is not an easy task and probably causes me more stress. So I need to learn to be a little bit more relaxed. I also want to help people. Where I see people that need help, I want to help them, whereas Shane would wait for them to ask for help or be ready for help. So I'm learning that. I suppose it's patience.
So I got a question for Shane now. Being the father of a daughter who was very gifted growing up, I think it was very difficult for her. So what were your experiences growing up?
Well, for me, I saw at a very young age. I remember stories my mum telling me when I was a child. Kind of as soon as I could talk, really, she used to listen to me at the bottom of the stairs. I would be talking to somebody, and if I heard her, I would kind of go, "Mum's coming." And then I remember when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I confessed to having an imaginary friend who lived in the wall, and I told her about him. And then it kind of went quiet for years. I suppose once my awareness was raised, I suppose once you're a bit older, you kind of become aware, don't you? So you
Shane, we'll have to go into a break here and continue discussing this after the short break.
No problem.
And thank you again for being a guest on our show. You're listening to Too Good to Be True with Justina Marsh and Pete Marsh on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xcvn.net.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Shamanic healing is the key to personal empowerment. Why? All 4 levels of our being, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, must be addressed for us to enjoy balanced, healthy, abundant lives. Yet there are few provisions for spiritual or energetic healing. Shamanism, found at the root of all cultures, is a very effective spiritual healing modality. To find quality shamanic healing you can trust, regardless of where you live, look no further than Find Your Path Home Long-Distance Shamanic Healing Program. All Path Home Long-Distance Healing practitioners have been trained and certified through Path Home Shamanic Art School. Change your life. Live abundantly. Schedule a long-distance shamanic healing session with Gwilda Wiyaka or one of her quality practitioners today at findyourpathhome.com.
Welcome back to Too Good to Be True, and we have some very exciting guests with us today, all the way from the UK. It is Shane and my cousin Marnie, and they're on today sharing their experiences, and again, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Hello.
We'll just pick up after the break where we left off, and you mentioned imaginary friends. And that seems to be a very common observation. So what would you say to a parent who has a child that claims to have an imaginary friend?
I mean, for me, yeah, I suppose it's encouraging it, encourage that, because at the end of the day, it's not always going to be that it's, the obvious that it is an imaginary friend. Quite often it will be a spirit, like mine was. My mum was personally, she was quite supportive. She was never scared of it. I suppose that's the first thing is people get scared straight away. I suppose for me, if it happened to my child, I would encourage it and I would kind of ask questions and see what he saw. And then obviously if it was something I could evidence or something I could, kind of not prove, if I could look into it for him, then I would do that, kind of fact find if that was, at all possible. Mine wasn't. Mine was called Timothy. I don't really remember much about him. I know that there was a spirit talking to me, but I was too small, but yeah, I would definitely encourage it. It's not something you want to discourage at all.
Yeah. I'll just say that Justina, what I recall, she had 2 imaginary friends, and my wife was very, I would say, sensible. I guess I didn't know what to think. And she just, she didn't do anything to say, oh, don't be silly, or oh, nobody has imaginary friends, you're imagining it. She accepted it as reality and encouraged it. So I'm very grateful to my wife's wisdom, I guess.
Yeah.
Going on from doing the platform, the readings, is it normally people in the audience wanting to know about departed relatives, or what are the questions you get asked?
Well, so when on the platform, the demonstration, that you don't tend to get asked questions. The way I kind of work is the spirit comes through to me and then gives me their evidence about themselves. And then 9 times out of 10, they'll show me where I'm going in the room. So I'll kind of get a feel and I'll know who I'm going to. If I don't know exactly where I know within sort of 2 foot, where I'm going. And then at that point, when I know that the person in the audience, the sitter I call them, is aware of who they are and is confident they know who the spirit is, I'll then give the message. But I'll never give the message, whatever it might be, if they don't know who the spirit is, if you're with me, because it wouldn't make sense. So, yeah, I suppose, but in a one-to-one situation, you get asked all sorts. I mean, the most common one is, what's the lottery numbers? And I always laugh and say, well, if I knew the lottery numbers, I wouldn't be sat here in lovely England. I'd be on a beach in Hawaii or something, you know. I kind of, yeah, you do get all sorts of questions. You know, a lot of people want to know, it tends to be about relationships, tends to be, is my washing machine going to break? You know, well, yeah, you know, if you've got bricks in it, of course it is, you know. You do get a huge mix. I mean, a lot of people, you know, is health concerns, is financial concerns, is happiness concerns, relationship. And I kind of have to rifle through who I read for. And I get a feel, and I kind of got a good, you know, people contact me, and I kind of get a feel straight away whether they are genuine. And in all honesty, the most obvious sign to me if someone's being genuine is the first question they'll ask me is, how much do you charge? And I tend to avoid those sort of people because it's not about making money. It's not about that sort of thing. You know, it's kind of, I know then I'm in for a bit of a rough ride with them. It's, you know, kind of, if people are interested in what I do, then I'm kind of pulled more towards them, you know, and I kind of feel like it's going to be more worthy. Now, it's not that I'm picking and choosing, but, you know, we've got a limited energy supply, and, you know, I'd rather help the spirits that really need the help, if you know what I mean, as opposed to trying to pull somebody through to help somebody in the physical, if you understand.
So on that, let's go on to kind of what you mentioned about home clearings. Marnie said you started doing home clearings and assisted with that. What's your whole process for a home clearing? How do you go about that? Do you go physically to the home? Do you do it remotely? How do you kind of perform those?
So I can do both. So with Marnie, obviously at the time, you know, I just met her, so it was kind of, for me, I'd done the reading. Things were, you know, obviously we were kind of ending the evening, and then suddenly she said to me, like, I think I've got something in the home. And at the first time I had to work with my senses to start with, because I didn't have my tools that I use. So I kind of went around and used my senses to find the spirit that was going on around her. Now, I can do that again. I can't really explain how. I just kind of know. This, you know, Claire knowing, when you've got all six senses working, you know, the Claire knowing sense kicks in. But now what I do, any energy clearance I do, if it's obviously local to me, that I can drive to, I use divining rods, you know, rods that you'd use to find water. They work the same with energy, so I will show somebody their energy. So I'll walk in, I'll tell them exactly where their aura is. I'll walk into their energy, the rods will cross, I'll walk back out again. I don't believe in things like ghost walks and things like that, because I don't feel that I can, you know, enough evidence can be given. I like to physically prove what's going on. So let's say divining rods is my first thing. Pendulums, I use pendulums at certain times. I use a Tibetan singing bowl. And then what will happen is, at first I will use my senses to see where the spirit is, and then I use my rods or whatever it is to show the person in their home where the energy is. And then kind of from there, I'm led by spirit, really. There's no two clearances are ever the same. So remotely I can do, and I can ask questions. I can ask yeses and nos with the pendulums. They kind of give me a remote view, so I can see from the comfort of my own home into people's spaces. And I look for dark spots, I look for cloudy spots, foggy patches in rooms, and then I know that there's an issue there. And then from there, like I said, I'm led by spirits. Like I said, I can literally be anything. There's no two. In Marnie's case, it was a case of putting clear quartz in her house, collecting negative energy. She had an attachment from a childhood attachment. She'd been in some mines. Obviously, I didn't know any of this time, and I said to her, "There's a mining lady who's attached to your energy here, who I believe was looking for a husband. Is that right?" And she'd been with her sort of 15 years. And then Marnie said to me, "Oh, actually, do you know about that sort of time? I did go into a mine or a cave or whatever it was. So in her case, it was asking the spirit to go. They wouldn't. So I called upon my guides to come down and release this spirit. And then the energy of the spirit was caught in the clear quartz crystals. And I gave Marnie clear instructions. You put them in corners of the rooms, open the windows, light a candle, and then throw away the crystal in the sea. Again, no two clearances are the same. They're all different.
I should add, you both live by the coast, so going to the sea is not very far, right?
Oh no, it's 3 minutes. It's fantastic.
I guess a couple of things there. There was one question I was going to ask, and my mind's gone completely blank, so I'll throw over to Justina for the next question.
I think one interesting question the listeners might have is, we keep discussing spirits, and on this show, again, like Dad said, we go through a lot of definitions. So Shane and Marnie, you both can answer this, but what exactly do you define as a spirit for all the listeners?
So for me, the way I see the difference between spirit and ghosts, I see that ghosts are on a loop. They don't tend to communicate. I've seen ghosts in my time. They don't tend to communicate. Whereas a spirit is an energy, a vibration. It's, obviously that they move at a higher vibration to us, hence why they can move around without us knowing. And for me, I communicate with spirits. Like, don't get me wrong, ghosts possibly do communicate with people, not with me personally. And it tends to be, ghosts, I kind of believe that it's through trauma. And it's kind of, that lasting bit of energy here. That's my personal belief. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's how I kind of feel about it. How do you feel?
I don't have too much knowledge on it. I do know when I've seen spirits, I've seen ghosts. I've seen a ghost once, and they were very, they appeared very black and white to me, very hidden. They didn't want to communicate, so it was easy to tell the difference. But that's been my only sort of part in that.
So when we talk about spirits, specifically you, Shane, have you dealt with good and bad spirits, or is it usually good spirits?
Well, until this year, I had only dealt with good spirits. And this year I've had to deal with 3 negative energies. As I said, so Marnie and I, when we met, we kind of got off on a rocky patch to start with. I'd kind of felt I'd fallen for her during the reading, and I was currently with somebody, and it was breaking up anyway. And I kind of made my feelings very clear. Now, Marnie told me to step away, quite rightly. And what happened then for sort of 3 months, we didn't talk to each other. And then she got back in contact this year, and a family member of hers had been feeling very low.
Shane will have to leave that on a cliffhanger here for the listeners about the interesting information about you and Marnie. And again, thank you for being on the show. And you're listening to Too Good to Be True with Justina Marsh and Pete Marsh on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back to Too Good to Be True. And before the break, we're interviewing our guests, Shane and Marnie. Shane, who's a psychic medium, and Marnie, his partner, who also works closely beside him. And Dad, can you continue?
Yeah, just before the break, we were at a cliffhanger. We were mentioning a family member who was having an issue with some negativity, and we kind of left it hanging. Could you fill us in a little bit, Shane?
Yes, as I was saying, Marnie and I weren't really communicating very well at the time, and she got in contact. I kind of felt that she would, and she said to me that I've got a family member who is really struggling. There's things going on. Would you help her? Obviously, I wanted to help her because obviously I wanted Marnie in my life. So, yes, I did. We kind of met up. We put our differences aside. And the family member turned up, and what had happened was I didn't want her to tell me anything. I'm very much, I believe in don't feed the medium, so don't tell me anything. So I will never ask anyone to tell me what's going on. I always want to find out for myself, and that's not to show off or anything. That's just so that I get a picture myself, and so that I also solidify that it's genuine. Because there's too many people that question. So I sat with Marnie and the family member, and I basically was going through what was going on, and I said, right, okay, so you have an energy around you. Where does it come from? So I kind of asked in spirit to show me, and basically what they'd shown me was they pretty much word for word what happened. They'd said to me, right, okay, so she's been. The pub that she was working and living in at the time, there'd been 3 visiting mediums on a night. One was table tipping, one was doing a planchette or a Ouija board, and one was doing mediumship. Now, Marnie and her family member had sat with me previously, and I'd gone through meditation with them, and I'd absolutely stressed the importance of protection to both of them first, because that for me, if you haven't got protection, then you don't work spiritually. And that's the most fundamental, that's the most basic lesson I teach anybody that when I teach mediumship is protection first. So luckily, she'd had the insight to kind of go, hang on a minute, they've done no protection here. So she left the pub in which this was all going on because she didn't feel comfortable. Unfortunately, the damage was already done. And obviously, we all know how Ouija boards work out. We've all seen The Exorcist. It's very, very real. I hadn't actually seen this negative energy before. And the way Spirit worked with me, talking about the Exorcist film, I literally, as I was looking at her family member, it literally showed me the picture of the Exorcist. So I knew what I was dealing with straight away. I was dealing with an entity. And it did frighten me, I'm not going to lie. It did frighten me because it's not something I've ever come across before. So I had to call upon my guides and ask for help and support and say, look, what are we going to do? And it took, I would say, a couple of months to deal with it properly. So the way in which I work when I have negative energies like that, I invite the spirit to leave the person they're attached to, and attached to my energy. And then I've got a guide who comes in, and his name is Big Cloud. He's a Native American Indian. He's my healing guide. He works with energies around me, and he removes energy from me. So I invited that spirit to attach to me. There had been some significant health issues that couldn't be explained by the doctors, the GPs. All sorts of things going on that I kind of, I'd been told by spirit, and again, this was all confirmed by Marnie. And suddenly, once I'd kind of recognised these things and removed this spirit, all these health concerns had stopped. There was all sorts going on. There was blood tests being taken, all sorts, and they couldn't find the problem. I removed that energy, and suddenly it all stopped. So what I had to do then for every week, Marnie and I were working, and we were putting in healing, we were working slowly, and my guide was chiseling away this energy piece by piece and dispersing it into the universe very slowly. So that was my first experience of a negative energy. And then a couple of months later, once things had kind of, Marnie and I kind of got back on track then, I got introduced again to the second time to who we call the Rebel Angel, who is Marnie's grandmother, who had passed. And she's kind of guided me throughout, my time with Marnie. And Marnie's sister, we found out that there'd been some concerns with her too. And this time I sat in and I'd looked at this energy, and I was dealing with a demonic energy this time, which really did scare me. And I sat there one night and I was meditating with Marnie, and I was going through the energies around her sister, and Marnie was sat next to me, and the spirit was whispering in my ear that if I don't back off, he's going to take her, which really frightened me, because I was thinking, no, I don't need this. And Marnie had said to me, I want to feel this energy had attached itself to my energy, something really bad. Marnie had said to me, I want to feel this energy, And I said, no, you can't. It's too powerful. And the Rebel Angel had said, no, not doing it. Marnie kept on and on and on and on. So the Rebel Angel said to me, yeah, okay, let's do this. So I allowed her to link with my energy. And within 10 seconds, she felt horrendous, didn't you? How did you feel?
Absolutely terrible, completely drained, didn't have an ounce of energy left, just felt awful.
And it kind of makes you feel, this particular energy made you feel depressed, made you feel bad thoughts. It was a real strong energy, but you have to kind of override that. Working with the light, working with the white light of the spirit is stronger. So it took me 6 months, and we've only kind of got over it the last couple of months. Again, it's the same process, chiseling small amounts away. And there's been a few times where I've actually felt excruciating physical pain, particularly on my heart. I tend to find that when spirit attaches to me, they're attached to my spine or my heart. And it's almost like somebody's squeezing it, and I get in some serious pain. And then my guide comes in, and I can't control when he comes in all the time, because he comes in when I really need him, and he just takes energy away from it, and I'm absolutely exhausted. And it took me months to get through it. It was quite terrifying, wasn't it? It was a hell of an experience. And we just get attacks out of nowhere. Suddenly Marnie would message me from work saying she's feeling really rough, really negative. And then I would kind of be saying, okay, right, I'm sending you healing. You need to, through the power of intent, send me all your horrible feelings. Send it to me, and I'll look after you. I'll kind of look after you and protect you. So my energy was constantly going into feeding Marnie remotely. And it just, it was an experience. And then eventually, the Rebel Angel helped us with the energy removal, and which she's done on a few occasions. She's kind of helped us. We've had some spirit release to do, some good, some bad. So that's what we had to do. We had to invite angels down to protect us, and they came to us through a meditation. Pegasus energy we work with, and obviously that's the purest of energies. And they came and they helped us remove. It was brilliant.
So you mentioned that Ouija boards were used probably that invited these negative spirits in. We've mentioned Ouija boards before in the show. I know they kind of creep Dad out. But what do you have to say for the listeners who think Ouija boards are just a toy? I mean, they're sold in a lot of toy stores, especially in the U.S. here. What would you tell listeners who are thinking of buying a Ouija board?
I personally would avoid them like the plague. I wouldn't go anywhere near a Ouija board. They're not something to be messed with. I've seen there is a medium local to me who uses a form of Ouija board in a light way. And he, through the light, even I find that a little bit like, I'm not really too keen on it. I just feel that opening up to spiritual, whatever, to all spiritual energies is not a wise move. Negative energies, like I said, they can really do some damage. Like I say, that the dealings I've had with demonic energies have been quite terrifying. And again, I had no experience in what to do, and you kind of, it's just a terrifying experience. I just wouldn't go anywhere near it.
What is the difference between a demonic energy and just a negative energy? I mean, I guess both are very negative.
For me, my experience, I was literally told this is a demonic energy, and it was much darker. This energy was, like I said to you, was whispering in my ear, and it was telling me bad things. It was nasty. It was making me feel very, very negative. It made Marnie feel very, very negative. It made her feel very low, and it almost toys with you.
And it basically showed me all of my sort of inner fears, and a lot of what it showed me and projected to me was about my son, because it would know that would terrify me and upset me, and I'd back off. And that was a big learning curve. And Shane was next to me and he's saying to me, "You're stronger than it. Carry on. You're absolutely fine. Ignore what it's saying or what it's trying to project to you." But that was, terrifying experience.
You see the films. We've all seen The Exorcist again. Obviously, there's a Hollywood twist on that, but it is pretty much, it kind of that sort of thing. It can impress some seriously strong energies on you in your mind, certainly. And that was what I had to say to Marnie. You have to be, no, I am stronger than you. So the night it was telling me that it was going to take Marnie, I had to say to it, no, you're not. I'm stronger than you are. You can't affect me. You're going to go now.
Well, on that note,
we
have to go into the break here. Maybe we'll discuss something a little more cheerful after the break. But again, we have guests joining us from the UK here. And you're listening to Too Good to Be True with Justina Marsh and Pete Marsh on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie, natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, The 70-Year Cover-Up Exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now to receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence?
And listeners,
Have
you're
an
not imagining
invaluable
it. I
private
am the only
program to
person here with
always
an American
perform at your
accent
best.
today. Since
Imagine
we have
how
two
you would
guests
feel.
from the UK,
You can
my
have
cousin
all
Marnie
that
and
so
her
much
partner
more
Shane,
today
and of
with
course
Thomas
my dad.
Hyde's
So if you're
life-changing
hearing a lot of
course
British
called
accents,
Number One
I
Fear
am too over here.
Unleashed.
But
Visit
let's continue with the interview.
numberonefear.com
Dad,
and
can
be
you please
liberated from
continue?
your fear of
Yeah, we
public
were warning
speaking.
about Ouija boards and talking about the movie The Exorcist. I should mention that the story behind the movie The Exorcist was based on reality in St. Louis, and the victim was a boy rather than a female, Reagan, I believe, in the movie. So there's just that. Let's move on to other subjects now, though. You mentioned earlier reading somebody's aura. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, so when I read an aura, I don't know if you're aware of a Chilean camera. You can have a photo taken that shows lots of colours. Now, the way I kind of read auras, I train people when I teach people to read auras. I tell them to look above somebody's head and slightly to the right, and kind of lose concentration with your eyes and kind of squint your eyes very slightly. And what you'll see is like a bubble around somebody very close in, and you'll see lots of colours. Now, those colours have lots of meanings. Obviously, we've got multiple chakras. We tend to deal with the 7 main chakras. So if I'm looking at somebody with a purple aura, it kind of means that they're an overthinker, or certainly overthinking at the moment. And obviously you have multiple colours in your aura. So for me, your aura is kind of representing how you feel, and you're kind of working with a psychic ability there to see. Now, it's something anybody can do with kind of, there's no formal training for an aura reading. So your aura holds energy, kind of thoughts, feelings, things from the day that you haven't kind of really got rid of. It doesn't tend to necessarily be deep-rooted feelings in an aura. It tends to be more things on the surface, as a rule. So, yeah.
Just a thought on auras. We did a show on indigo children and other children that seem to have different auras. Have you noticed different different auras and people that might set them apart?
Yeah, absolutely. Marnie's son is an indigo child, which I told her before I met her. And when I kind of went through the traits, when we went through them online, she kind of said to me, actually, yeah, that kind of matches. My sister is a crystal child. She's hugely empathetic. She's very emotionally deep-rooted. So, yeah, I mean, I can spot those sort of children a mile off. Let's call them children. Not always, my sister's 18, so she's not a child. But, it's you spot them a mile. And again, there's no rhyme nor reason for that. You just tend to notice. You something significant, or you tend to be told. That's how they are. If you're with me.
Yeah. One thing I should have asked earlier, and that was if I already asked it, I'm getting senile, but could we go through the mechanics of putting up protection? Because it seems like if you get involved in anything spiritual, as you stated, that you open yourself up if you're not too careful.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I believe when I teach my group, I teach them to keep it very simple. Now, some people can imagine lotus flowers opening and spend half an hour doing protection. For me, I keep it very, very simple because it is the most fundamental thing in spiritualism, I believe. Now, I keep it very simple. I will simply ask my guides to protect me. I'll ask them to protect who I'm working with, where I'm working, protect my possessions and my belongings. And I ask them to surround me with bubbles. And again, we're closing down. I always thank them. You always thank them for working with you, thank them for protecting you, keeping you safe. Ask them to clear my energy from me at the end of every reading or every sitting, and ask them to protect my home, protect wherever I am working and those around me. You think there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can imagine roots growing from the ground into your feet to kind of ground you, all sorts really. So certainly when I taught Marnie, I taught her to use a bubble or a cloak, whatever it is she feels comfortable with. Violet flame, violet fire. Again, like I say, just keep it very, very simple, but it is the most fundamental thing, and you must always use, ask for protection for safety reasons, really, and so they only allow the positive energies to work with you, and no negative energies, if you're with me.
Right, I've heard people just say shields up if they're in a hurry, a Star Trek reference, which I found quite amusing. But anyway, what other gifts have you got? You mentioned quite a few already. What other activities are you involved in?
So I've been through a stage of, like I said, I've sort of done house clearing, energy clearing. I've worked trance work with my guides. My guides will link with me and take control of my vocal cords. And we'll discuss philosophy with whoever's listening, one-to-one readings, past life regression, all sorts, really. It's almost endless what they do with me. There's nothing I haven't, kind of physical mediumship is another thing that kind of jumped at me. Most of my year this year has been energy work, if I'm honest. I kind of, I've been lucky enough to be able to see sort of how houses were before they were knocked down, if you're with me. Kind of like blueprints of houses, I suppose they show me. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride, really, for the last 5 or 6 years.
So what are your thoughts on the people that perhaps make a living out of mediumship or maybe clairvoyance, who are telling us that Harry and his new bride will end up having a terrible marriage and so forth? Obviously, Nostradamus was a kind of, he kind of predicted things. Me personally, I don't massively go for people who try to make a living out of mediumship. I know that I will never make a full living out of mediumship. It's not something I would want to do. I believe that there's a lot of ego in mediumship, which is a very sad thing to see. For me, it's lovely to make money, don't get me wrong, and there should be an exchange when there's, when your readings are being done, because at the end of the day, you're giving up energy. Now, I know mediums that charge a packet of Bonios, dog biscuits for their dogs. I know people that charge a bottle of wine.
for me, like I say, I've been around a lot of mediums that are very greedy when it comes to money, and I see them fail all the time because they suddenly lose insight. They lose what they're doing. And I kind of always say in all my demonstrations, I am just a tool for the spirit world. I'm no different than a tarot card or an oracle card. I can talk. So I'm not. When people clap me and say I'm brilliant, I'm fantastic, I get a little. I don't get upset, but I kind of I say no. Actually, I'm not. At the end of the day, spirit are working with me. I've done nothing. I'm just communicating. Because, like I say, I'm no different than an oracle card, angel card. I do it because I like to help people. It's a running joke between me and Marnie. I like to see people crying during my readings because it's, for me, I know I've connected with them then, and I know that I've helped them and I've helped the spirit. And that is why I'm so selective about who I read for, because... again, it's not about preying on the weak, not about making money. It's about communicating and helping, if you're with me.
Yes, I appreciate that. It's kind of comments I've heard from Justina, so that sounds very familiar. I think I would like to ask Marnie where she thinks she's going with her spiritual journey and her general thoughts on being so close to somebody who's so gifted.
Shane has told me that I'm a healer. I'm yet to discover that for myself. So I am Reiki attuned. Shane has done that for me. So I'm quite excited to see where that leads, because I haven't discovered that for myself. But if that's my path, then that's where I'll go.
I should say that both Justina and myself are Reiki attuned as well. So we've been through the process, and we see great benefits from it. But having the time to practice it is really the difficult part. I mean, to help the community.
Marnie's also been involved in some spirit release, soul midwifery, through me. She hasn't experienced it on her own, but she has kind of been through those sort of things. She's been through the past life regression stuff as well, which, with guidance from spirit, she can do. She tends to be my wing woman with that, really. I tend to use her. We'll kind of go through a meditation together with whoever it is we're doing, if it's past life regression or something. And I will say to her, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? So that she's actually seeing what's going on. So she's very much in tune, but just hasn't kind of got the confidence yet to kind of acknowledge that, if you're with me.
Yeah, you mentioned soul midwifery, and I think we have to start wrapping things up, but I think that could be a subject of a whole another show that we might do. So maybe I should throw it over to Justina.
Yeah, I just want to take a few moments here to thank our guests, Shane and Marnie, for coming on the show today. Again, this is a first for us on Too Good to Be True. We've never had a guest before, or multiple guests. So we want to thank you guys. And Shane, if you could mention your Facebook page again, how people can get a hold of you so that the listeners can contact you. And yeah, if you would mention that again.
Absolutely. It's Shane Affleck, Psychic Medium on Facebook. I don't have a website, so yeah, if you want to catch me, you can do so on there.
Well, I'll mention our Facebook page at Too Good to Be True with the first two spelled TWO, or our Instagram page at TWOGTBT. And if you have any suggestions for future shows, please contact us. And if you want to be a guest on our show, we are now opening it up. Please contact us with a brief bio about yourself. And as always, thank you so much to the listeners, and we look forward to next week's show.